Hey everyone, it's Keeley here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video where we're going to go and make the first of 2 Halloween soaps that I have on offer this year, and I am super excited about these soaps. At the end of last year, I decided that for this year I wanted to have a go at making the little gnomes for various events throughout this year. Now, unfortunately, I only actually managed to make 2. I did the Valentine's one, the Gonkentine, and then I also did the St. Patrick's one because that was a suggestion from Lee. And since then, I haven't really been able to make many more, but I was determined to do some Halloween ones. And one of those designs that popped into my head was to do a little wizard. So that's what we're going to go and do today. We're going to go and make the little wizard gnome to go on top of the soap, and then we're going to make the wizard magic soap. Let's go. So to make our little gnomes, I do have my set of jeweler's scale so I can weigh out a few bits. I like to weigh most of the parts that go onto my little gnomes so I know that I'm getting roughly the same size bar of soap. What I'm going to start off with, I have this really rich dark purple that I made by using some Eminence mica from off of Heirloom, or it's my Mica Obsession one. And I also mixed in a bit of navy blue, which I had from off of Nurture Soap, and ended up with this beautiful, rich, dark purple. Just going to condition that little bit up, and I'm going to start by weighing out some little 6-gram pieces here. And then just once I've got up to my 6 grams, I'll just pop it to one side. I need just a little bit more. And I tend to find 6 grams is enough for making the little bodies of these gnomes. So I'm going to make 3, or I'm going to pull off enough to make 3. I usually find it good to work in a sort of progression. It just makes things a little bit quicker. All right, so now that I've got my 3 pieces here, I'm just going to leave them to one side and get the other pieces ready. Now to do the arms, I generally only need about 1/2 gram, which will do my 2 arms. I'm just going to measure out 3 of those. So we've got 1, but make sure they stay at 0. That's the second arm, and then 1 for my 3rd one. All right, so now that I've got my 3 little arms, the only other piece I want out of my purple is a bit for the hat. So I've just got a piece here. And to do the hat, it is basically just a long sausage of purple. Now what I'm going to do, because you can get soap dough over your hands while you're working with it, I'm going to prepare all these purple pieces, and then I can wash my hands and work with the lighter color soap dough that I need here. So just move the scale out. I'm going to start by rolling out this one, which is going to be for the hat. And once I kind of get to a certain size, it gets a little bit unmanageable, so then I just chop it down into smaller pieces until I get it into a really nice thin sausage shape to go around the top of the hat. And I'll probably actually get 2 or 3 out of this one piece that I've got here. Let's get it rolled out. So as soon as it starts getting to a certain size like this, like when you used to play with Play-Doh, you used to get it to a certain length and then it was hard to control. So I actually just chop it back down until I get to a length that I can actually start rolling back out nice and thinly. All right, that's looking good for one of the hats. I'm going to do the same with these other 2 pieces here. Now with these 2 pieces that I've got over here, I'm just going to wrap them up so that they don't dry out in between. Now with my little 1/2 gram piece, I'm just going to roll these out into little sausage shapes as well. These are going to form the arms, and I like to roll the 2 arms as one and then cut it in half because it kind of gives that little bit more symmetry between the arms. They're kind of the same thickness there. So we've got those 2. I'm going to do the same with these other 2 pieces here. And then finally, we've got our bigger piece here. And what I'm going to do is just condition it up into a ball. And once I've got it into a rough sort of ball shape and it's nice and smooth, I kind of push down on the one end here until I start to form a bit of a tear shape. So I'm pushing down and still rolling to get that nice smooth sort of effect. And then we end up with a rough looking sort of cone shape. I actually then kind of squish mine in this way to make sure that they are going to sit on top of the soaps and not be too wide for the bars. And then I kind of just make sure that he's a little bit rounder on the sides. So I'm pretty happy with that one. I'm going to do the same with these other two pieces, and then I'm going to go and wash my hands. They're not too bad, but once you start dealing with colors like white, that is when it really starts to show that you've been working with these darker colors. So again, I've just rolled that one down into its little cone shape, and then just manipulating it into the shape I want. Just playing with the hat a little bit too, making sure they are roughly the right height, just checking it against some of the others I've got sitting there because I have been practicing making them. And we do the final one. All right, so now that we've got all the purple pieces done and I've washed my hands, we can start playing with the lighter colors. And the first one I'm going to use is this flesh colored one. And this was a complete accident on how I created this color. I was using the Cherry Blossom Mica, my Mica Obsession one, and to try and get a nice light pink. And when I actually put it into the soap dough, it lost its color completely, but it just gave this really nice flesh color, and it's been so useful ever since. So it's a really good color to have for that. But all I'm doing here is just rolling off a tiny little ball for each of these, which will become their nose. So you probably want it no more than half a centimetre, so you probably only want about 3 or 4 mil. In fact, I think that one's probably just a little bit too big because these are small little gnomes. So let's do that one. One more little nose here. And then we're still going to use this flesh, and we're going to create some little hands. So for the hands, we probably only want them to be about 2 sort of mil in size, and we want 2 for each of our gnomes. So again, just breaking off a little piece and rolling it into a ball. And this is why I like doing a number of these at a time. You can get like this little bit of a progressive line going, and as you're actually making things, you kind of get that feel for how big you should be making each of the pieces, and then they come out a fairly uniform size. The most I can ever make at one time of these gnomes are 6 at a time. If I try and make any more than 6, I find that the components dry out before I can actually get them together, which isn't a bad thing. You just need then a bit of water, but I prefer to use my soap dough while it's still nice and soft. Now the second last thing we're going to do is create some little wands for these wizards. And I just had this bit of brown sitting in the box, so I grabbed this one and I rolled it out to a really, really thin piece of soap dough. And it doesn't have to be even, because we all know what the wands look like in a very well-known series. They've all got different shapes and sizes and stuff. So just rolled that out to be quite thin. Doesn't matter that it's got a bend in it. Adds to the whole appeal. It's probably just a little bit too long for my little wizard, so we'll cut that bit down. And we've got 2 more, and I don't mind just putting that little kink into the wands. We've got those, and now we can do the beard for our little wizard. And to do that, I have some white soap dough, and all I'm going to do is break off a small piece, probably a little bit bigger than a pea size. I start by rolling it into a ball, and then I'm going to, just between my fingers, kind of push it out, making it go down into a little bit of a V shape to go down the body of the gnome, and trying to keep the top as flat as I can, which will be around the top of his face. It doesn't matter if it's not completely even, because once they go onto the gnomes and you cover them up with their hands, they just give each of the gnomes a little bit of a different look. So I'm going to make my other 2 beards, and then we're going to be ready to start assembling our little wizards. All right, so now that we've got all the bits ready for our little wizards, we can start assembling. So I'm going to grab the body of this one and grab our little beard that we made. Now my white is still actually soft and tacky enough that I can just push it onto my purple here. And I've just got myself a little skewer, and I'm going to go around and just put some little hair marks over the beard just to give it a little bit of texture. And now that we've got that on, next thing is to pop his little nose smack bang in the middle there, around his beard. Next thing, we're going to pop his little arms on. So I'm going to grab one of these pieces here, and I tend to like where I've cut it and you've got like that cut off bit, I use that to put my hands on. So I'm going to put the other piece, which has got a bit of a tail on it, round about onto the side, and I kind of just squish it on and smooth it on as well, and that really helps to hold the hand in or the arm in place. We've got that one. Going to grab this other one here, and again I'm going to do the same. It's a bit harder to show from this side, but we're coming about around to that sort of half of the body. Again, I squish that one and kind of blend it into the body of the soap dough, and we're going to manipulate that round just a little bit. Now I'm going to grab that little wand that we made, and I'm going to just tuck that in where his hand would be, under his nose. And I'm not worried if I want the little wand just to sit up a little bit. My soap dough sets so hard that it doesn't matter if a little bit just sticks out like that. Next, we're going to grab one of the hands, and we're going to put the first hand so it goes over the top of that little wand there, and that will hold all that in place. I'm going to grab our other one and stick it onto that hand like so. Just making sure everything stays in place. Now we need to finish his hat off, so we're going to grab one of these long thin ones that we rolled out, and I like to start at the back where the arms are, cover them up a little bit, and then as I wrap it around and come to the nose, I kind of wrap it up and over the nose like so, and bring it round. And when we meet at the back, I just cut it off. I just use my thumbnail to do it. If you don't have nails, use a knife or something. And then I smooth that join into each other. So it's really quite hard to see where that original join was, just making sure everything is kind of stuck in there. Now to finish it off, I have these tiny, tiny little gold stars, and I'm just gonna put one. I didn't quite want it centered, I want it off-centered when I made them, but I'm just gonna stick it onto his hat just to the side and push it in. Now to create those tiny little stars, I used the sprinkle sheet that I had from Off Wickedly. I put some gold soap dough in here, and then once the stars had dried, I pushed them out. And there he is. That is one of our little gnomes all done up. He is so super cute. I am going to get on to making these other gnomes, and then once they're done, we're going to get on to making the soap. Alright, so I've got all my little wizards made up. I can't tip them too much further backwards or they'll fall off my tray, but we are now ready to make the soap. Now, as many of you know, I am filming from out of my shop, and it is actually quite busy out in the street today. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do, and then I'm going to set the actual making of the soap to music so that I can get the music going in my store in case anyone walks in. It doesn't sound all silent when they come into the shop. So we've got our oil and our lye water already down to room temperature, and in a minute I'll pour the lye water into my oils, get that mixed up, and then we're going to split it up for quite a number of colors here because we love washing up. I'm going to try and do a bit of a I'm almost thinking about doing a bit of a dirty pour to see if we can get really nice flowing colour. It just depends how it plays. I've got Eminence in this jug. I have got some Egyptian blue, which is from Aussie Soap Supplies. All my other colours are from Heirloom. This one here is Cornflower Blue, and then I've also got some Nimbus Grey and some Extravagance Gold. So once I've got this all split out, if it's playing well, I'm then going to tip it back into the bucket before tipping it into the mold. And as I fill my mold up over here, I have got some this one's a star, but I've also got a moon and two slightly smaller stars as well, which I made these using the extruder discs, which I've had from off of I Dream in Soap. There's the little moon, and as I pour my soap into the mold, I'm going to start layering those moon and stars in there. And then once we've got that all filled up, that's when we get to put our little wizards on. So I'm going to actually go and get my music back on in the shop, and then we're going to get on to making this soap. So there it is, Wizard Magic is in the mold, and I am super happy with it so far. I did put a little bit of a Twilight biodegradable glitter across the top and also some gold cellulose beads. I am absolutely loving how the wizards have come up on here. They've all got their own little characteristics there, and I think they're all between the lines. We'll find out when we go to cut, and we'll also get to see whether we've just got a big mess of colors inside or whether we've got some beautiful swirls, because sometimes when you do this pour, it looks so messy and muddy when you do it, but when you cut it open, it looks absolutely stunning. So fingers crossed. Gonna leave it sit here overnight, and we'll be back in just a moment and we'll get it cut open and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, it is the next day and we are ready to cut into our Wizard soap. I will admit I was getting really worried with the color of the top, but when I pulled it out of the mold, I saw how beautiful it was. And I've also remembered that with this particular fragrance oil that I've put in here, it often does go a bit of a funny color and then it comes back while it's actually curing. I am going to use my single bar cutter just to make sure that we aren't damaging too many of our little wizards. So I'll cut that end piece off, and I really should go and get myself a little bit of tissue to wipe that off with. All right, so I've got the end piece all cut. Now I do have those markings on the top of my soap to help me with where I should be cutting, but I do also have my guide. And the reason being is that because with my multi-bar cutter, some of the wires might be like just a mil out. So where the lines are for my multi-bar, not necessarily always a 2.5 centimeter cut. But oh wow, look at that. I absolutely love how that's come out. I haven't done this style of pour for so long, and I'm really, really pleased with how that is looking. Absolutely love the stars and the moon. Let me grab my little piece of paper towel there. Oh, and it smells really good. I don't think I actually mentioned it in the video. I may have just put it on the screen. I use vanilla, patchouli and sandalwood, and it always sells well for me at Halloween. It's got such a beautiful smell to it, and I think it's perfect for this soap. I love all the swirls. It really is giving that sort of Starry Nights vibe, just not quite enough stars in the mix there, but absolutely loving it. Now I'll have to be careful with this one because his little hands, we're just gonna miss them. All right, and there is that one inside. It is going to take me a little while to cut all of these soaps, just because I'm going to have to go slowly and carefully to make sure we don't cut any. Let's just bring it forward a tiny bit. This little wizard is leaning backwards. I don't mind if I chop a little bit of the hat off the back of a wizard because that's easily fixed, but I'm trying to avoid the little wand in the wizard's hand because that's going to be harder to actually fix. I love how they actually do have a slightly different look to them. You can see how the stars move when you put them in. If anyone remembers watching that series where I did all of the zodiac star signs in the soap, like the actual constellations, it was so hard because the little cane embeds do move on you. And in those soaps, it was a bit frustrating because it really disturbed the actual look of the constellation. But I love how they have moved in these soaps, which gives each of them just a slightly different, unique look. But I am absolutely loving how this has come up. I can't believe it took me so long to come up with the idea of doing these little gnomes. I'm super, super happy with how these little wizards have come out. They are going to head off to the cure rack. By the time that you see this video, they will probably already be cured and available on the website as well for anyone in Australia that is interested. But otherwise, I do hope you've enjoyed coming along with me as I made my Wizard Magic soap. And if you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one and I'll see you then. Bye.